Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. Hello. This week I want to start the podcast by giving a shout out to Brian and the team at Dandelion Energy that came and worked on my house and installed geothermal this past week. You guys are amazing. You did wonderful work. It was a pleasure having you here. Everything's wonderful. I love how quickly my house is getting cool now. So thank you so much. And thanks for, listening to the podcast. Thanks for coming on board and being a fan. Totally appreciate it. So this week, it was just Memorial Day, and I want to talk about the sacrifices that we make as individuals, as societies, and what goes on a day like Memorial Day. So, of course, we're recognizing the sacrifice of our soldiers and the people that serve our country and how they really have literally put their lives on the line, and many have died in service to the way that we live and the freedoms that we have. And I know that no one wants to be at war. No one should want to be at war. And yet, when it happens, when we have to defend ourselves, when we have to stand up for what's right, there are people that volunteer to do that and who do an amazing job. So I just wanted to put that out there and say thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do for us. And then to talk about, for the vast majority of people that I know, I don't know a lot of people serving. I want to talk about sacrifices that we make consciously, that we make inadvertently, things that go on in our lives, because no matter who you are and what you do, sacrifice is a part of your life, even soldiers, even in their daily lives. So I want to talk about how we handle or recognize the things that we put off, the pieces of ourselves that we put on the shelf while we're stepping up to the plate to get something done. So for me lately, there's been a lot of juggling of the schedule and figuring out how to manage a household, manage raising my daughter, manage a business, and do them all while having my relationship, while wanting to have friendships and reaching out to everybody. So normally I hold myself to a pretty high standard of keeping in touch with people and making sure everyone's connected, making sure that my daughter, I'd like to say gets everything she wants, but we're really working on not giving her everything she wants right now. So there's a balance to be struck there. There's time constraints, right? And then there's just reality. There's what's going on and what we're able to handle in the moment. There's what's able to be done with a budget. There's what's able to be done with our time. And eventually stress can be kind of overwhelming. So for instance, these past weeks, I had, before the crew arrived to be working on the house, I had it looming in my head and in my consciousness. Oh my God, people are going to be coming and working on my house. How loud is it going to be? When am I going to be able to record a podcast? How am I going to run my business and do consult calls if it's loud? Because I really have no basis of comparison. So I started restructuring what my expectations were around what could be done. And then the reality of it happened, and in many ways, things were a lot easier and smoother than I had ever anticipated. So again, thank you guys. And yet, there are things that come up, like random invitations to go do stuff. Like, I like to keep my schedule fairly open so that I can respond to those and participate. And eventually I realized that I had said yes too many times. And it took a toll. So the sacrifice we make, right, when we say yes too much is maybe our energy level goes down, my ability to fight allergies went down, my ability to be nice went down. You guys, we only have so much. We only have so much energy in any given day. Like, I think of it as like you wake up, the flower blooms open, and then a petal drops for every action that we need to take, for every decision that we make. We can fill ourselves back up by doing things that nourish us. But even with that, there's only so many things we can do and so many thoughts we can have and situations we can handle, mitigate, just deal with in any given day. And when we step up and know that we need to resolve something because now is the time and there is no other time to do it, we do sacrifice other aspects of our day. So whether that's saying I have to say no to an event that I wanted to do, I have to say no to talking to someone I wanted to talk to, I have to say no to having time for myself, we choose those things in service of an outcome that we want. We choose things sometimes because we have no other choice. So that's really a reality that we all deal with. We wish that we were in control of every situation. We try and we endeavor our best to be in control of it all. But at the end of the day, there is the world, like it's spinning around us. Things are coming at us left, right, and sideways. We have to cope with what shows up on the playing field. And sometimes it's not what we expect. And we do just step in like little superheroes in our lives and handle it. And then we deal with the sacrifice, right? So we get to the end of the day. And I can tell you that lately, just the schedule has been packed. So regardless of anything going on with my house, there has been so much going on with the school year, with my daughter, with business building, with meetings, with planning events, birthday parties, social stuff. It feels like there is no built-in breaks into my schedule. And I like to think of myself as someone that manages that really well and creates the space to deal with it. And to an extent I have. So I would highly recommend that if you're capable of it, if it's possible, build in some time somewhere in your month, at least, if not every week, to, I don't know, lay on the floor and cry because you're tired and everything's crazy and your brain is broken and you don't want to do anything. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. So you build that in. And then some days you just don't have it, or you realize that what you've built in was not enough. And you're still tired and you're still cranky, and here we are. And now we have a situation, right? So now we go into the next day and we have more stuff that we have to do. We've got more obligations. We have more ambitions that we're trying to live up to. And we're carrying on our back just the exhaustion and the mental clutter and the emotions that we have about ourselves and how we're coping. And I bet you that sounds familiar too. Because here we are, we're humans and we judge ourselves even for being tired. Isn't that ridiculous? So I just want to take a moment right now and say, man, if you've been working really hard, if you have so much going on and you're thinking, oh my God, like we're halfway through the year, how did this happen? It's the summer, suddenly everything is happening at once, like all of the graduations, all of the weddings, like all of the stuff is happening. And there's parties to plan and there's people to take care of and there's just stuff everywhere. And then we have pets and they have stuff that they need too, and children and just everything. Whew. So we take a breath. And for me, I find it helpful in those moments to just recognize that I am a person in a body doing the best I can. I start to acknowledge the feelings that I'm having, like the sensations, and acknowledge the tired, acknowledge the crunchy, acknowledge the cranky. And in doing that, it makes it okay that I have those feelings. And I go, okay, I notice that I've been acting a little short. Like my conversations with my daughter, I'm getting a little bit quick to being and just say no or not explain the way I normally would or whatever. And it's recognizing that it's coming from the sense of exhaustion and recognizing that I've used up all of my energy elsewhere and I don't have a reserve left. So I'm rationing it. So I ration how much energy and how much niceness I have left in me. And I don't know if any of y'all do that, but for sure I do. There is a lot of niceness in me. And then there's like a certain cutoff point where I'm like, now I'm tired. Now I'm frustrated. Now I just want everyone to please stop talking to me and leave me alone. Please stop making more work for me to do. Please stop making like things for me to think about because I don't have it in me to make a good decision. And I get angry because I don't want to make a bad decision. So that's another one that I work on, right? Is recognizing that it's okay to make mistakes and that not every decision will be perfect. Not every outcome will come out the way that I really hope and anticipate. And I can still appreciate that I am trying, that I am showing up, that I'm doing the best that I can, that I'm rationing my energy, and that I am attempting to do the best that I can in the areas that count the most to me. So I would recommend in these moments when we realize we've stretched ourselves really thin and we're putting ourselves out there and we're about to snap, to really pat yourself on the back and go, okay, I've gotten here because I've gone so above and beyond, because I have been doing more in service to these values that I have than I'm actually physically capable of keeping up with right now. And I want to add the right now because we always are evolving and becoming more capable and more able to do things. But in any given moment, we might have hit capacity. That is okay, and it's completely normal. So to soothe myself, I will say things like, wow, well, right now, I'm tapped out. Today, I'm not feeling it. Today, I need to rest more. Maybe it's a day for just drinking more water and tea and silence. And then I will look at the list of things that I normally want to do and I aspire to do. And often they're social things, like I want to go out and see my friends and I want to do phone calls and connect with people. Most of the time, that is so easy for me. And on a day when I realize that it's hard, instead of thinking, oh God, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why am I not wanting that socialization? I'm recognizing it as a signal that I am tired and I need rest. I need something that I have not been getting, because normally the reach out to the friends is nourishing. If it has stopped being nourishing, I have truly overstimulated myself. I've done too many things. So I think what I'm sharing really is that that's the state that I'm currently in, that there's been Renaissance fairs, movie theaters, there's been just aquarium trips and extras and unexpected trips, lots of doctor's appointments, house stuff, family stuff, just it goes on and on, none of it bad. And that's the thing too that I want to point out, is that sometimes when we're feeling overwhelmed, we feel bad about it because we're like, why are we so overwhelmed when nothing bad is happening? Like, it's all actually been pretty great things. And yet, here I am so frustrated and so over it. That's just me stepping into activity levels that are beyond my current capacity. And I want to point out too the ebb and flow of energy that happens throughout any given year. And while it can follow like, oh yeah, it's going up and there's more energy in the summer and the spring, that doesn't mean that there isn't still a wave pattern happening where you are kind of going up and down. And I'm definitely in an ebb. That's okay. We know that on the other side of the ebb is the upflow. So there can be acceptance there. There can be calmness and a recognition that if I choose to say yes to myself, and by way of that for you to say, if I choose to choose myself, that's okay. It's necessary. And it's part of us being able to gather enough energy to put it back into all these activities and exciting things that we love. The things that we made space for, that we planned for, that ended up being more than we could actually handle because we were excited at the time. Totally okay. Totally okay. Ups and downs and ups and downs. So actually talking about it has made me feel better, and I do already have more energy. But here's another thing I want to caution you about is when you offload some of that stress and you recognize that you've put yourself out and you're about to regain that energy, I caution you not to immediately jump back into everything all at once, because it's a natural tendency that we have when we feel like we've been rough around the edges, and then we finally get a little bit better. We're like, great, I'm just going to go back into the fray right now and prove how great I am and that I'm actually a great person and that I'm going to be more positive. And we kind of sugarcoat things like that. Don't do that. Recognize that you're starting to feel better. And the reason you're starting to feel better is because you've given yourself a pause, time to reflect, time to feel better. It's okay to take a little bit more than you think you need, in the same way that, you probably acted a little bit more than you maybe needed to, or maybe you had to, but now you need the break. You need that equal balance. We're never able to be perfectly balanced in any day, but over time, just like with the ups and the downs and the ebbs and the flows, if you put out a lot of energy, you need to take in a lot of energy and circulate that shit. It's really important. My friends, I hope that you actually have been having a fantastic beginning of the summer, that everything is flowing smoothly and swimmingly in your life, and that you actually haven't had to sacrifice too much. And I know you have. And I want to appreciate you and let you know that the work that you do matters. The ways that you serve your family and your community matter. You are seen, you are appreciated. And even though we don't always feel it all the time, when we're able to feel into our bodies and acknowledge what we've put out there, how tired and weary we are, it came from effort, it came from doing, it came from belonging, it came from service. And that's always going to be a net positive in the world and for us. It's okay to acknowledge that and to take a breath and to recuperate. May you be seen, may you be nourished, may you have that break this week, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.